And howdy, guys. How's it going? How's it going? Hopefully, it's going fantastic. I am up super late because I can't fall asleep because who needs sleep? Am I right? Or am I right? Uh, Thank you guys for watching. If you don't know who I am, you're new around here. My name's Tyler. I go by Zany Online, and I constantly shake my webcam anytime I'm touching my desk, like so. Now, what do we have to talk about today? Actually, what we're going to talk about is something that I got thrown up on the whiteboard here. Can you really trust your bash scripts? And I'm not talking about the ones you make yourself. I'm talking about the ones that you download from GitHub, GitLab. I think this is something that we actually need to address because inside of the Linux space, it is much more common for you to be downloading random scripts and such off of the interwebs and running them on your PC. Windows, not so much. Like, I mean, if we're being completely honest, the odds of you downloading a .bat file, which don't even ask me how I know how that's a file on Windows for running scripts. Actually, I'm glad you asked. I just did searching on malicious GitHub and GitLab by proxy scripts, and guess what came up? Only bat files. I couldn't find a single bash script that was malicious. Now, again, I use DuckDuckGo, so and I wasn't specifically searching for malicious bash scripts. I know for a fact they exist. That's obviously a thing, but it's much more common that you're going to find malicious scripts made for Windows because it's just in case you're new for why stuff is typically made. And when I say stuff, I mean malicious stuff is typically made for Windows. Well, their market share dwarfs Linux in comparison. Again, just in case you didn't know that or was wondering. So, when it comes to using Linux, should you be worried about the scripts that you download and run on your system? And quite frankly, not really, if we're being completely honest. You really don't have to worry. But that being said, I do have to go ahead and specify that still doesn't mean you should run around on the internet and download random scripts from the internet and run it on your computer. It's not a great idea. When you do download a script and run it, you should at least understand a little bit about the script. And I'm not going to say that you should understand exactly everything that's going on in that script. That is a guaranteed way to make sure that you never have malicious code ever on your PC. But if we're being completely honest, a bash script that I really enjoy having is the Pokemon Color script. If you've ever seen my terminal, I'll probably be throwing it up on screen right here. It's a nice little script for just adding some Pokemon to your terminal. It's you can make it output the sort of an ASCII art of whatever Pokemon you like to have in your terminal. I personally like to have my little Squirtle in my terminal. And this script I got from the interwebs, and it's a fantastic script. The guy who made it, I think, is an absolute genius. I think he's a fantastic dude for giving me the glory of having my favorite Pokemon inside of my terminal. That being said, the script, I understand not all of it because I haven't gone through all of it, but I also understand what's sort of going on. I understand the general gist of it without understanding exactly everything. With most scripts, though, you will be able to understand a lot because if we're being completely honest, a lot of the scripts that you're going to find online are very simple. And also, if you're going to end up downloading scripts to customize, enhance, extend features on your Linux machine, it's probably a good idea to spend, I don't know, a couple hours learning bash scripting. And if we're being completely honest, a couple hours of bash scripting and you can pretty much skim through most scripts on the internet. And if not fully understand them, come very close to it. And so, I mean, again, if you understand 80 to 90% of the script that you're downloading and all of it is, you can tell what it's doing and it's not malicious. Again, maliciousness can be different for everybody. I mean, there are people out there that genuinely connecting to the internet means it's a malicious code. So it's up to personal preference a lot of the times what you consider malicious. But I mean, in general, if it's stealing your data, if it's copying directories, sending files somewhere, there's probably a good chance it's malicious, you know? So, and that being said, I think this is something that we need to at least talk about in the Linux space, because even though it's not a big problem, like there aren't a ton of malicious scripts just floating around online for Linux, they do exist. And as Linux becomes more and more popular through stuff like the Steam Deck and etc., whatever comes down the line, they will get more and more popular. And Linux will become more and more of a target. And so it's good to at least build a solid database, a solid foundation of discussions about at least learning Bash a little bit before you start downloading scripts. And I know some people are going to come in here and they're going to be like, well, Tyler, there's a lot more, you know, scripts out there than just Bash. There's different kinds of scripts. You know, you could have a fish script. If you don't know what fish is, it's an alternative to Bash. If you don't know what Bash is, I mean, we're having a sort of weird talk here, but Bash is the default shell. Again, terminal, whatever you want to call it. Well, it's really shell, but again, on Linux. And but that being said, a lot of systems use different stuff. You could be using KSH. You could be using ZSH is really good. You, again, could be using Fish, but like, let's be real. If you're half sane and like running scripts, you're probably not running Fish. Let's be real. But if you are, more power to you, by the way. But I don't think it's really something that you really have to be too concerned with right now, but you do at least need to keep an eye out, okay? There's going to be a time when more and more malicious scripts, code, and stuff like that is written for Linux, especially when it starts gaining market share. I'm not saying it's going to gain market share. I'm not saying I hope or like will die if it doesn't. Nothing crazy like that. It's just, I'm saying in the event that Linux starts to become a more serious competitor to Windows, not that it isn't already, like, let's be real, Linux is just better for privacy, for you truly owning your own machine, because by the way, just in case you didn't know this, if you're running Windows, you don't actually own it, okay? Read the terms of the agreement. You have purchased the right to use it. You don't own your copy of Windows. Let's make that abundantly clear. Microsoft can revoke your right to use that Windows 10 copy at any point, and quite literally for any reason they deem necessary. So you have paid for an operating system that you don't own, that's not yours, that spies on you, and made by a company that truly believes you're stupid enough to believe that a keyboard logger is a feature. So again, Linux is better objectively for the end user. However, there's solid reasons for using it, but this is again a whole nother conversation. In the event that Linux starts to become a serious competitor to Windows, and by competitor I mean market share wise, there's a good chance that we're going to see a rise in malicious stuff for Linux. And quite frankly, if you're going to be a Linux user, even the layman learn a little bit of Bash. I swear to God, it's not that complicated, and you would be surprised how much Bash you can learn just by going out and seeing it, just in case you need an idea of some good places you can go. I have a GitLab. I do have some videos here about scripting. Not the best, but still, they exist. If you want better content about scripting and stuff, Terminal for Life is where you go. Shouting you out, buddy. He's a great guy. His content's fantastic. And I will go ahead and say, if you're new to Bash, there's quite a few of his videos that are going to be well above your head. Again, his name is Terminal for Life. So clearly he does a lot of stuff in the terminal, and clearly he does a lot of scripting. So I would highly recommend going through his channel. He does have quite a few videos that are definitely useful for new people, and even people like me who have tinkered around with Bash but am nowhere near intelligent in it. I can just stumble my way through a script. I can read most scripts. Yeah, I think he's a great resource, but even as a layman, it is a very good idea if you're going to switch to Linux, start using Linux, or you even have the inkling to start using Linux. You're going to be using a lot of scripts. Scripts are fantastic. I don't care if you're like, they're not for me, they probably won't benefit me. Look, eventually you're going to hit the point where you download one script because, you know, it's trusted, someone recommends it to you for some thing that you're doing, and then you'll learn the glory of scripts. Okay, scripting and stuff is fantastic. Automate all of your small tasks. Anything that you need to do, it's really good to have scripts. It's fantastic. They're amazing. But I highly recommend you learn a little bit of Bash, only because in the event that you're going to check out a new piece of software, you can at least know if it's doing something malicious. A good example is YouTube DL. There was the whole fiasco about YouTube DL and it getting taken down, and then because it's open source and it can be forked, even though it got taken down, you know, thousands of people forked it and had their own versions of YouTube DL. And if you're gonna download YouTube DL, it's a good idea to be able to read the script and make sure that it's just YouTube DL and no added extras. You don't want them. You don't need them, and you definitely don't want to compromise your system's security just to download a few YouTube videos. Let's be real. So highly recommend you learn some Bash, and if you have an opinion on this, it differs from me, definitely let me know about it. And also, if you have any extra added bits to discuss, or topic, or anything really related to this, definitely let me know down in the comments below, because this is a subject that I feel like we can definitely have a good conversation back and forth about, and can definitely be something that I find interesting to talk about. But I think that's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want to support me or anything like that, there's a link for my Patreon down in the description. I do want to go ahead and say thank you to my patrons. You guys are freaking epic. I've now hit the point where I have 3 of you. Matt has company. It's epic. So I highly recommend you go over there and join those fine people if you want to financially support me, if you can. If you can't, dude, no problem. Hit the like button, comment, talk with me, and we have a great time. Again, it's just one of those things where if you want to be like a super nice dude, the link's down there. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.